With the latest mainline update, DE added 4 new Warframe augments. Today, I'll focus on the Gauss augment Thermal Transfer, adding a new feature to Thermal Sunder, applying your choice of heat, cold, or both to all weapon attacks. It's a versatile augment and available to every Warframe via the helmet system. So let's see how you can use it. I'm Nick Engineer, let's solve a practical problem. Let's start with the core details before we dive into building around this new augment. Thermal Transfer can be obtained from the Arbiters of Hexes or Parent Sequence for 25,000 standing at rank 5, or you can trade it from another player for a small amount of platinum. As the augment applies to Thermal Sunder, which can be subsumed via the helmet system, any Warframe can make use of this augment. When you cast Thermal Sunder, you and all allies inside the zone receive a temporary buff to your weapon damage. This includes your companions, but does not include ability damage. The damage type from the buff matches the damage type you cast with, so by default that's cold if you tap cast, or heat if you hold cast. Both of these buffs are additive to other elemental modifiers. The base stats for the augment are a 75% buff for 30 seconds, with the default zone range being 12 meters. All 3 of these affected by strength, duration, and range as you would expect. This is very similar to the existing elemental damage augments. Smite and Fusion, Shock Trooper, Fireball Frenzy, Freeze Force, and Venom Dose all offer higher base stats on their augments at half the cost. The trade-off with those is that you either cast the base ability or the augment option, while Thermal Transfer casts both the buff and the main ability simultaneously. Also, Fireball Frenzy, Freeze Force, and Venom Dose are attached to non-subsumable abilities, locking them to their respective frames. There's another subsumable ability that offers elemental damage, which is Nourish. This one needs no augment, but it's both weaker and with a shorter duration despite the same cost. Mostly then, Thermal Transfer is for flexibility compared to other damage augments, losing a little bit of efficiency and base stats for the ability to do more overall. Now when it comes to using Thermal Transfer sensibly, you need to understand how elements are applied and how they combine on weapons. I've covered this fully in my previous video on Hate Set. I'll link that in the description. If you've watched that video or already know about Hate Set, you'll understand that in a random squad, Thermal Transfer can ruin the elemental modifiers on your allies' weapons. It is possible to clear the buff by jumping off the map, but such an option isn't always available, nor is it convenient. With all this in mind, you can go a few ways in building and using Thermal Transfer. A standard way of building Gauss is for duration to get the most out of his 4th ability. Leaning into this, you can keep the high duration, buff strength, and dump range to give a small but strong buffing zone. This means you can safely cast Thermal Sunder away from allies so they can step in only if they want the buff. The downside to this approach is you lose the crowd control and main application of Thermal Sunder, turning Gauss into just a weapons platform. Alternatively, you can go for a build that focuses on using Thermal Sunder for its main ability, in addition to the augment. This is more practical for solo use, or in dedicated squads that can make sensible use of the damage buff. You retain the ability to apply far-reaching heat or cold damage, freeze enemies, ragdoll them, or strip their armor. This does come at the cost of duration, especially to be able to accommodate the need for range and strength in the build. You can swap Augur Secrets for Augur Message or Constitution as a matter of preference, reducing the strength of Thermal Sunder in exchange for keeping all abilities up longer. As a third approach, most useful for retaining viral and crowd control on a setup, you can go for a low strength version. This allows you to go for higher range and duration with reduced need for efficiency. One way to use this is if you have a toxin weapon. Thermal Sunder will evolve that to viral with the ability bonus, freeing up a mod slot on the weapon. The low strength is a non-issue, as you don't need a given amount of cold for it to create the viral damage. All you need is that both cold and toxin be present. The ability to freeze enemies solid with this build still works with the low strength too, giving you that crowd control capability. This same approach also allows you to use a toxin weapon with electric modding, giving you corrosive when Thermal Transfer isn't active. Adding Thermal Transfer, you get the options of Magnetic Toxin, Radiation Toxin, or Radiation Viral by activating one or both Thermal Transfer buffs. For example, you would have Magnetic Toxin active most of the time when you're on a Corpus mission, but then you drop the buff, either by jumping off the map or walking into a nullifier, when a Seal Path Acolyte arrives to drive home that corrosive damage using the same weapon. Again, the low strength doesn't matter as you're using the ability not for the added damage, but instead to change the damage type. Again, as with the second build, this is best used in solo or dedicated squads to ensure you don't ruin someone else's builds. All three of these approaches translate to other Warframes as well. Frames with high duration, low range, like a moat-focused Wisp, can use the first setup. Frames relying on balance stats can use the second, whilst frames with a high range, low strength, like a Maim Equinox, can make use of the third setup. You will of course have to adapt the defensive side to your other frames, as they won't have Gauss's kinetic plating to rely on. Overall, this augment for Gauss isn't the most game changing, but what it does do is open up new options. It's the only way currently to get cold and heat weapon damage bonuses from subsumed abilities, complementing the toxin, electric and radiation already available via other frames. Give it a try, see how it feels for you, and see how it can complement your existing weapon builds. That's all from me for now though, so as always, cast zones, get buffs, and fight well, Tenno.